It sounds like we kind of got a solid connection here. You
Yes.
can call me One Step.
Okay, one step.
Um,
Yeah, I've seen you in the comments section for a while, brother.
yeah, I sometimes I have lapses because Susan likes to ban me a lot. My most recent ban was simply for posting a Senate hearing. Just posted a Senate hearing. No commentary from me, but the people aren't allowed to hear what happens on the Senate floor on
No,
YouTube.
no, not at all. Susan will ban whomever she wants to ban. I got one strike against me, so probably gonna eventually get two. I would assume, maybe this year if I'm lucky enough.
Yeah, for me, I kind of push the buttons on purpose. Yeah, I might not necessarily be on the platform trying to grow. I'm just kind of trying to map out the legitimate spots where they're pressing their finger down in a way that isn't in their TOS or doesn't follow their rules. Kind of like posting a Senate hearing or a video that got my one of my channels outright deleted was with no commentary by me, just using the CDC.gov
Mm-hmm.
information
Mm-hmm.
on the issue at hand, so to speak. And you'd think, since they literally told all of the YouTube content creators that they have to use the CDC and the WHO, however you feel about either one, um, I'm pretty sure what WHO, they don't think Taiwan's its own place. I think we don't we have to believe that, right?
Well, I
Um,
mean, Tedros. I'm pretty sure he's
but
told
yeah.
by
Anyway,
China not to like Taiwan. But I digress. Go ahead.
yeah. Long story short, I'm like basically I'm not like doing any kind of slanderous hate speech. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
type of stuff to get. Just like I want to find out what interesting things Google's up to. But yeah, I've been watching for a long time. I really respect your stuff. I respect
Thank you.
specifically, not to get too divisive right off the bat, which religion's a hot topic, but I respect your faith, your willingness to put it out there and stand by it in a political climate amongst the right where it's not really at a premium anymore unless it's for nefarious purposes like grifting, for lack of a better way to put it. And you don't do that, and I appreciate that. I respect it. So
I
thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate those kind words, yeah, I mean, most people will use their religion. There'll be many Christians out there who will. There's genuine ones too. Don't get me wrong. There's genuine ones. I believe Mike from On Point Preparedness or Brad from Carolina or Jesse Spots, just to name a few off the top of my head. There's a
Yeah,
few.
just response. I recognize that name. Yeah, he obviously like anybody else, there's things we do disagree on, but
Yes, of
he
course.
does seem genuine in his faith. Now this is coming from a person who's had. I feel like with any person with faith's had their trials and tribulations with faith.
Hmm.
I'm nobody perfect, but I would say that my respect for people's faith is usually in spite of my flawed faith, and when you can stand by it, and I just guess I see so much of the trying to use it for money generation,
Hmm.
and I see that not even just faith, just people in general, content creators, especially people who just their content is solely based off of taking something somebody else made and watching it. But to each their own, get your bag, guys. Uh, I've never heard you bring up money unless you are offering something like a book that you're working on or anything like that, and I respect that.
Yeah,
But I,
I've occasionally asked for donations when, for example, my interface is about to go out. But Mark from Houston
well,
Tonic
right,
Live is going to
like I
step
said,
in.
it's because you're building something to offer, right?
Yeah, yeah, and occasionally I might add, but it's very rare. Same with Jesse. I have an issue when someone's constantly, unless they're making. I mean, there's some people who genuinely do it that I know, but many people it's not from that. It's not from that point.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah. I
point.
feel like we're on the same page. Definitely, like the there is this weird like underbelly like assumption that I feel like our human brains just do by default that like if somebody mentions donations or like ways for people to support, that some people, if they're kind of out to get the person, or like you said, like if you make a certain, there are people that might have been following you for forever, but the second that you start bringing up like the wrong person's connection to like the CNP or something, and like you start bringing out truths about them, it's like, oh no, you're a bad guy now, and then all of a sudden, if you mention donations, you're grifting. Whereas like we're talking about like mentioning donations or how people can support you, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
And
I
there's people that out there that want to, so like giving them the information, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's different. I think, like you said, it's people who are constantly beating the drum like every 5 minutes, and you know
there's people who bang the tin cup, you know.
yeah,
Um,
like it was Salvation Army-ish.
there's people that guilt other people to make them donate to them and everything, and I mean, this isn't my main job. You know, some people this is their main job, and there's a little bit different. A little bit
Yeah,
different.
you're an author and
One step, did I lose you?
can you hear me?
Yes, I lost you there for a minute. You said, yeah, I'm an
Yeah,
author.
sorry about that.
I'm a
You're an author
health
and a
coach.
researcher, right?
I'm an author and health
Oh
coach.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Those that's my main job is fix your gut. We've read the documents, which is something I did just
Like,
because of my knowledge of all this stuff, and I didn't want it to go by the wayside. We're all constantly learning. I'm not going to say I know everything. Lord knows I don't. Some people
wow,
might.
I've learned quite a bit from you. That I never, not necessarily wouldn't have interest in, but just never even thought about looking into. A lot to do with like CNP and the
Mhm.
connections there, and like really how deep the tentacles are, and like people even that like Tucker, like really the reason that I wanted to call in was really to get you talking about Tucker Carlson and like his ties to um like guys on the left,
Mhm.
or like some of the for lack of a better way to put it, some people that I personally, and I think objective people would say are traitors to the country, that for some reason, on Fox News get championed as heroes and stuff.
Mhm.
But if you want to kind of take the floor with that, like Tucker Carlson's like connections to like the guy, who's the guy that runs Media Matters? His
David
name's is
Brock.
David Brock, and then like his former boyfriend James Alefantis. Like, doesn't Tucker Carl? And I'm not doing this to get into the whole deep dish fence thing.
Mhm.
I'm not
No,
really
I
interested in
mean, we can
that.
still discuss that real quick. I mean, so
Yeah,
both Tucker and his father, Richard Carlson, they both knew David Brock. They were, and David Brock he was a conservative, but they
yeah,
switched
like
back
in
and
the
forth,
'90s,
right?
right?
But he was a conservative at one time. There was kind of a group between Matt Drudge and David Brock and Tucker Carlson and Richard Carlson, among others. So Carlson and David Brock have known each other at least around 25 years, give or take, 22,
Yeah,
25 years, somewhere
almost,
around there.
almost like I want to say I was probably 5 when like from what I know from when they were connected. It was like when Tucker was working for CNN,
Hmm.
and Brock was like an outward like political activist for like the Republican Party. Like he was actually like a lobbyist, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it was even before then. It was I don't remember exactly which publication offhand that Tucker Carlson was um, was writing for when he got involved with that kind of conservative group. I did a stream on it. You can go back and listen to me discussing it. Of course, I talked about that there was two restaurant reviews that had mentioned that Tucker Carlson, two individual restaurant reviews by two different publications. I think it was between 2006 and
Yeah, that he wrote for
2010.
Ping Pong Pizza, right?
No, they had mentioned
Or
they had
or Comic
mentioned
Ping Pong.
that he was both that he was a very important person in both reviews at Comet Pizza Ping Pong, which makes sense because he was such good friends with David Brock and James
Who
Alefantis
and
because
that's
of
when
that.
they were dating. When did they dated until like just a few years back, right?
I believe so. Yeah. So, Tucker's everybody. Tucker, like, when you listen to Fox and you're conservative, and I have to catch myself sometimes too, right? You know, he'll say things that's kind of like a dog whistle. You're like, yeah, you agree with that, and but then when deep
Yeah, it's
dive
like
and you
Ted Cruz when he's talking to Mark Zuckerberg or something.
yeah, and so when you listen to these people, um, you know, and you start digging on them, you realize, well, Tucker's blue blood. His stepmother was a Swanson, the Swanson heiress. His
Yeah, it came from money, a
yep,
lot of it.
yep, yep. His dad had connections to the Reagan administration and working for um, uh, Radio Free America and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Um, so, I mean, the Tuckers are the Carlsons are blue bloods, you know, and so Tucker,
Is he the sole heir of the candy fortune or whatever?
the frozen food fortune, Swanson fortune.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Swanson. That's fucking huge.
yeah, it's a Swanson fortune. I think he was in a lawsuit with his family members over the money, I believe.
Oh well, that is just the cherry on top.
I think it was between his brother and I don't know. I don't remember. He was in some lawsuit dealing with that. I believe. I think I remember reading that on my own when I was doing my research, but I could be mistaken. But I think
Oh,
so.
so was it him was he like named heir and then he's getting sued for some of the rights, or did he like
I
attain them
don't
through
remember
lawsuit?
offhand. I don't want to misspoke, but it
Okay,
was something
yeah,
over the estate, the Swanson estate.
yeah, that's
Um,
unfortunate. In any circumstance,
and of
you
course,
just hate to see it.
Tucker wears the Kabbalah bracelet. I need to make that will be probably my final Tucker
Yeah,
video.
could you explain that a little bit? Because I think the stream you referenced, like I had watched that, and you did mention it, and I think I remember you saying like you couldn't find the picture of it on his left or right wrist. Like, what's the significance of the left right wrist? Like, what is the ribbon?
Okay, so for the if you're gonna wear the Kabbalah string or a bracelet, um, it it's kind of like a kabbalistic like a prayer bracelet, kind of like how Catholics have the rosary. Okay,
No,
um,
is it tied to a specific faith?
it'd be Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah.
Okay, yeah, okay, so that like not inherently like it's like not inherently the Abrahamic faiths, but like the
No, it
mysticism.
wouldn't be Judaism itself. It would be the
Right, yeah.
mysticism part of it. Um,
Which,
but
which is
he wears
like
it on he wears it
an
on the
elite
left
thing.
wrist, which is where generally they wear the red string. And so I've seen videos of him wearing it specifically only on the left arm, where a Kabbalah string or bracelet would generally go.
Right.
Um, so that's interesting. And then, of course, you have him saying anybody who believes 9/11 is an inside job should leave the country. Should be thrown out of the United States. That's a problem.
Which is a red flag for anyone who can. Which I mean, he's pretty good at. I was gonna say anybody considers himself a journalist, but he's kind of like with him coming from money. He's very good with like the PR of, hey, I come from money. Like I'm one of these. I am one of these people. Like I am this. I am. You know what I mean? Like, which if you're not paying, if you're stuck in the echo chamber and you're looking for confirmation bias, you're gonna immediately say, oh well, hey, he admits to that. So that means there's nothing really to look at there because he's always saying he's not hiding that. Well, it's just because somebody's not hiding something, like they're upfront with it, doesn't mean it's not still an issue.
Yeah. Um,
But that's neither here nor there.
I mean,
Sorry to cut you off.
it's a grand totality of Tucker, right? It's not just one thing, you know.
Yeah, it's the people he chooses to like mentioned earlier, like with the war here, like there's people he stands by that I think a lot of us would consider traitors. There's a
You
lot
mean
of
like Oliver North when he was like Oliver North's a great
a
American?
100%, 100%, and the fact that so many there there's not just how a network with that many viewers and a person with that many viewers doesn't have such like at least a loud minority saying, "Hey, what the?" I don't want to curse. Like, what the hell's going on here? Oh, I remember, X amount of decades ago, this was not this is not the way that this is supposed to go. Like, well, you're asking us to forget a lot of things for us to just take your narrative on face value. And you're having this guy on, and you're not asking him one, one, decent, somewhat targeted question about anything related to him that's not got to do with whatever book he's trying to sell.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because I like Tucker's stuff. I try and explain this to people though. I also love Kevin Spacey's acting. He's not a fantastic actor anymore. He still has done fantastic acting performances. You have to separate, you know, the art from the artist, so to speak, which I feel like it takes kind of a long time when you're young to get to that point. But it's kind of like a don't meet your heroes thing. Like just because somebody says things you like, or that doesn't mean that they're the person that they portray themselves to be. And the even deeper seated thing is that these people, like so to speak, like people like Tucker Carlson, uh, even if it's like he like 90% of him might align with me on whatever beliefs or like whatever social interactivity or anything like that. Um, it's that 10% that you know that's more. There's plenty of lines I draw in morality and civility and
Yeah.
all these other things that you've crossed those. Like it doesn't matter that it's just 10%. It's like that's the really important 10%. You know what I mean? Like that's the 10% that like the 90% we agree on is the stuff that I don't mind if people disagree with me on.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting to see because I feel like well, like listening to your streams for a while, and like you're pretty open about other parts of your life. We like align on a lot of different viewpoints and stuff, and um and when we're in the situation where like it's like I don't consider myself a Republican,
Mm-hmm.
and I almost don't like like in political ideology, like if we were to do it by the book, I do still consider myself a conservative. But at this point, it's like everybody's destroyed the Republican Party and conservatism in general. Like what even is it anymore for me to identify with it? But like when it's time to vote, it's like, well, damn, that 10% that really matters to me. Yeah, I'm like they've crossed all those lines, but am I gonna I have to fall back on the 90% because we agree on 90%, and the other guy that they're running against, it's like he's at 9 he's like there's more than 10% problem there, like 50%. But it's like being when you're de facto part of a constituency that the the party that you have to default vote for, and I personally believe that these people are selected. I don't even
Yeah.
think you
Yeah. I'm
vote.
not. I mean, I'm not going to vote. I mean, look at the work of LB Bork. I mean,
Right.
I'm never voting again at this point, except for maybe a local election, maybe if
Yeah,
it's important.
local. Like I can see myself voting for. I don't even feel like it's like the positions locally that I would vote for that don't feel overtly political,
Hmm.
even though technically like they are. Like even if you're voting for sheriff, but like I feel like that's a vote. I feel like that's a vote that has a that I can substantially see an impact or lack of impact
I
based off of like who gets voted in.
I
You
could see
know?
that. Yes, I could see that. Yes, you're still buying into the system though, but I could see that. Yes.
Right. Right. And to a certain extent, it's like it's like with the vaccines. It's like you can get one if you want to, but you're buying into a whole lot. Just know, like,
Yeah.
if you want, you can participate if you want. Like, yeah, maybe you don't want to, and but maybe you live in a state and you have to get your job back, and they're telling you
My
you have to
issue
get
with
it.
that though, however, is that people, if they presented the true knowledge about the vaccines to the people, right, and gave them a choice, you know.
I think the fact that they're not is tantamount to criminal
Well,
negligence.
they do that with,
I'm
but they do it with all medications anyway, right? Like, how many times does the doctor say, "Okay, well, here's the drug insert. You can read it and familiar yourself
yeah,
with the side effects.
and
We'll
then
discuss
sign
them."
away all your liability. Like,
Yeah, what, when does that ever happen? You know, if your doctor doesn't give you the medication insert with any drug that they prescribe to you, unless it's an emergency, you need to
oh
find a
right,
new doctor.
I don't even mean just the doctors because I feel like the red tape is such that, and the bureaucracy of our medical system is such that I'm not worried about the doctors not covering that base because it's the original, click to agree. People just they assume since their doctor tells them they're just going to flick the pen. You know what I mean? Like I can't really fault doctors for patients not,
I can
and
some. I can some in the way the system is set up. I've met good doctors. Don't get me wrong; they
well,
exist out
I
there.
mean,
But
like in reference to the point, I was talking more so like the mass media push for the vaccines.
hmm
I'm talking there's I think there could be litigious arguments made for like not even just within tort law, but crim law, like for these people being criminally negligent and actually contributing to the harm done to people who have like are adversely negatively affected by these vaccines because there's even commercials on TV now for these things, and it's like you were saying with Pfizer, like there's really bad things happening to people, and if you mention it, like you said, because you mentioned it with the last caller, you're going to put this on Subscribe
yeah,
because you have to protect yourself,
yeah.
and we should be in really in no part of the world, but let alone in 2021 United States of America, in a situation where we feel like we need to protect ourselves from the fact that we are wielding knowledge. I, it is mind-boggling. Well, it no longer boggles my mind. It's almost like Will Ferrell, like bottles. My mind's bottled. I'm trapped in a glass case of emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I feel like my brain's been screaming into the void for so long that all I'm hearing is everyone else screaming into the void with me, and we're all just screaming. And like
I
like
mean,
I
Jesse Spots has talked about it. We're pretty much in our own digital ghettos because of the internet and social media
yeah,
platforms. There's a lot
FEMA
of truth
camps.
to that.
People are worried about FEMA camps. You're FEMA. Why would they put you in FEMA
We're
camps?
already in one.
You're isolating at home. You've made their job 10 times easier. You've willingly begged them on your hands and knees to make you a slave. And I don't even mean that hyperbolically. When you're economically dependent and in every other facet of your life dependent on this system built on wet sand, toothpicks, and playing cards to provide for you and your family. And outside of that, if you don't trust it and you don't want to be dependent on it, you're going to be literally treated as if you're a criminal or charged with crimes because you're just trying to provide for yourself and your family.
That's
I
true.
mean,
Yeah.
this is you're in the FEMA camps, guys. Like this is kind of like this is like the space is fake, Mars is underground type of thing, you know. And now I am being hyperbolic, but you get what I mean. Like
I get it.
if screaming about FEMA camps, you're not paying attention. They don't need to round anybody up.
Nah.
You're not leaving your house, and you're giving all your money to them, and they're taking your kids' money that they haven't earned yet.
And you're allowed to be
So,
tracked and all and blah 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 blah. I mean, what else is there really
dude,
say, brother? You know, I mean,
when people bring up the Patriot Act, it drives me crazy. I'm like, have you read the two National Defense Acts that Obama signed? Because habeas corpus does not exist anymore. Okay, you stop flashing back all the way to the Patriot Act. I get it, like, chicken before the egg, but like, there's a
I mean,
lot
we got the
worse
omnibus
things.
crime bill with Biden, which that
I mean, good Lord.
that failed, and then
We're
and
borrowing $600 million from China to give China $600 million. I,
it's
I
it.
mean,
I mean,
and
well,
that wasn't Biden that did that. That was Trump's last one, guys. So trust the plan.
I mean, what were we supposed to say, man? It's like whatever, Good night, folks. We solved everything. I mean, it's
Uh,
there's some people that eventually reach the point, even listening to me, and someone actually asked me how I felt this the other days. I've had a few listeners go, "Yeah, I think I've reached a point listening to you where I'm just done. I'm gonna go live my life and stop, worrying about this stuff." And anytime anybody says that, I'm like, you're probably better off just turning off the internet and going back. Like,
I mean, dude, I mean, if I'm not like actively engaging, I, like, I don't get, I don't have the social media apps like on the phone. I don't use Facebook, period. That's been long deleted. And not even like, let's couch like all the nefarious activity of like like technological, like whatever, the technocrats and all the Zuckerbergs and all this, the reptilian lizard people and all, I don't, all that. It, I, yes, okay, it's a problem with Google and Facebook and all these things are doing,
mhm.
um, to like free speech and like how they're censoring people, whatever. Even if they weren't, more importantly, this stuff is just bad for your mental health. It's
Yes.
unhealthy.
I mean, it's a dopamine
And
addiction, right? Always looking at the next retweet
yeah,
or the
if you
next.
get into the science of it, yes, I mean, it's literally like it does the same thing to your brain, like you're receiving a like or a sub or viewers. It does the same thing to your brain that doing cocaine does.
Hmm.
Now, saying that is,
You're being a little bit hyperbolic, but it is true because you
yeah,
have
it's
that
like
dopamine hit, you have that
it does the
dopamine loop.
trick to your brain with the dopamine. Now, you're not getting high like you're on cocaine, okay? But you're arguably it's in the long term it's eroding your mental and, uh, if mental goes, eventually physical health of your body the same way a chemical dependency to a narcotic would.
Hmm.
I mean, this stuff is destroying you.
No, it
You're
is. I agree.
living in a world where you will go out to dinner. The food will be terrible. It will take forever. You'll fight with your significant
No,
other.
you'll
It'll be a
ignore your
terrible time
significant other the whole entire time because you'll be
while
on
you're on
your
your
phone.
phone. But when you but your girlfriend got the picture that she wanted for Instagram and it got her enough likes, so she's happy, you're happy. Live good, play good, eat good, eat good. You know, it, it's 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 sad to see. I feel like I'm not old enough to have perspectives like Facebook is eroding my mental health and uh, which it's not. I've been on Facebook in
Yeah,
half a
but you mean the
decade, but
general public.
right, like I shouldn't. I feel like thir- at 30 years old, I should just be complaining about hitting 30. Uh, that
I'm not
is
far much
the
older
least
than
of
you.
my
I'm
problems.
35, but I remember a world without social media. I remember when MySpace showed up.
Same, same. I mean, it, it it's remember when Facebook first came around? What was it, like 2006 or 2005? But you couldn't be on it unless you were actually enrolled at a college.
Yes,
I'm sure you could lie about it or something, but like it wasn't like targeting outside of that when it like first came up. And then, but I remember my first Facebook account because all of us we were in like I want to say like
it was
probably eighth
Harvard.
grade
I
or
thought it was
something.
Harvard. I had to look up. Um,
Yeah, like we well, I think it was after that when it was broader than just Harvard, but like you couldn't be like you had to be a certain age and like in a certain level of school when they like the first expansion, like you had to have a college or something. We just lied. We just lied. I mean, you just lied, and we had Facebooks, and we weren't the age that we said we were, and then like I don't know, like a year later, they just did away with that.
Yeah.
And now, like, you're sticking iPads in your kids' hands to raise them. And now, even the people that aren't are de facto doing that anyway because all their kids are going to school online.
Yeah, but they forced it to that point, and I got,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even the people that are smart enough.
yeah,
Well, I shouldn't say smart enough, but like they they're in a position. They've put themselves responsibly in a position to where they can responsibly and adequately raise their children, right?
yeah,
And I feel like in today's age, that's more rare than we'd like to admit. Um, and I think there's a lot of people that are close to working operating at 100% there. Like you're working at 90%, that's better than most people. Okay, sometimes you can't have the means. You definitely can't if you have the government stomping its foot onto your head while your face is buried in the mud. You know what? I won't mince words. When Edward Norton is stomping your face into the curb and your teeth are biting it, you can't provide. You know.
yeah.
So and I don't deduce anything crazy from that. I know it's a specific type of movie. That's not what I meant. I'm just saying specifically the biting the curb euphemism, people. Okay, don't get crazy. I just like movies. Um, but that's what I feel like. That's what they're doing. I mean, if we are going to make any kind of parallel like that, I mean, I my brain just automatically did that, and I said that out of my mouth without thinking about it because I was just watching the other day with Gina Carano getting fired because she made an analogy and people didn't reference her analogy at all. They just focused on like a specific narrative. Like you said the wrong thing about the wrong type of people. It's like, well, technically, literally, she said the right thing about a specific group of like what she was saying was the right thing. Now, did I think it was in poor taste? Probably. Did I think it was the smartest thing in the world? Probably not.
And,
Do I think
and, and
that
then she goes and joins Ben Shapiro's movie company,
right,
as Davy Crockett was
right,
talking
like
about. It's like,
we're not exactly, we're not exactly pulling off the gas of like, hey, let's benefit on this now.
yeah,
But which, hey, I like I said before with like if you're like get your bag. But we see you, we see what you're up to. I don't even really blame you.
yeah,
But when if you've watched the interview, I've only watched like a couple snippets, but it's like the spare me the whole like here's my story of why this look, just sit down and be like, look, I got screwed. I made an analogy and this is bullshit.
yeah.
Just you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to.
No, no, you're right. Now I gotta get other people in. Okay, there's last two people in.
Yeah,
I gotta go to bed
go
soon.
ahead. I appreciate your time,
Yeah,
man.
but hey, one step. I agree with you though overall, man, and I definitely want to thank you for being a long time listener and supporting me. But
Yeah, man.
and you're
Keep doing
welcome
your
to call in
thing.
anytime, brother. You're welcome to call in anytime. Um,
Yeah, I just happened to tune in and saw it, and I figured I'd call in. I appreciate you
but
let
but
me
but but
ramble
you
here.
but you are right though in that the our social media has it controls us a lot. They use it as a means of control. The coronavirus pandemic has put people in their own houses to further get them on the nets and
Yeah,
control mechanisms.
the
Um,
FEMA camp is your bedroom, people.
yeah, at this point, yeah. At this point, yeah. But take care. We'll talk soon. Call back again.
Yeah,
All right?
have a good one,
You
man.
too as
Appreciate your
well.
time.
Bye.